if there is a Republican primary, would it be on the same day as the Democratic primary?
Yes, it would have to be the same day.
Mm-hmm. And would the polling places in all the counties be the same for both primaries?
Yes, it's my understanding, and I think this is the law, that when they go into these polling places where they have voting machines, if they have to say whether or not they're going to vote Republican or primary, if they vote Republican, then the primary part is blocked out, and of course vice versa. Now,
when you say primary, you mean Democratic. They have to say whether they're voting Republican
Democratic
or
primary.
Yeah.
I've said Democratic primary, or primaries meaning Democratic so long until it's just like that. But that's right, and if they vote paper ballots, they have to announce whether or not they are voting Republican or Democrats, and it's a difference in the color of the ballot.
Mm-hmm. Now, what day would the primaries be on next year?
It's going to be, of course, it's the first Tuesday in May, and I believe it's May 2nd. These parties meet and set their rules and regulations. The Democrats, as I understand, will meet sometime about the middle of January. Now, I don't know just exactly when the Republicans will meet, but now they set their rules, they adopt their fees for qualifying and all of those things. Now, the law says that they must qualify before March the 1st. That doesn't necessarily mean that they just have until March the 1st, because if you remember last year, the Democrats set the qualifying day as at midday, I believe, on the 28th of February.
Mm-hmm. What races? We've heard a lot of talk about the Senate race, especially, and we know that the congressional races will be in 1972, but what other races will be coming up in 1972?
Well, we will have two associate justices of the Supreme Court and one judge of the Court of Civil Appeals, the president of the Public Service Commission, and one United States senator, and 7 United States congressmen. Of course, you know, we lost one this time. Had 8 last time. Now, when we take it down, that's at the state level. And the county offices will be the tax assessors, tax collectors. Now, the justices of the peace, this is the year to elect them, but on the amendment ballot, there's a constitutional amendment to abolish the justices of the peace. And then you have the constables, and in many cases, the county commissions, they run on staggered terms, and some of those will be up this year. And then that's the same case in the county boards of education and the county superintendents of education. Now that's your county offices, and then you have your party offices to be filled, such as delegates to the Democratic National Committee and their alternates.
Getting back to the telegram, I therefore respectfully request that you immediately demand that your Attorney General and Secretary of HEW modify their positions to conform to your expressed attitude and promises in regard to busing that enabled you to be elected to the presidency. And I further request that you demand that the Attorney General and Secretary of HEW return to the courts in which they were instrumental in securing busing decrees, and ask that these court decrees be set aside and held for naught. Since our schools start soon, I feel that our people are entitled to know where they stand, and I respectfully request an immediate reply. And signed, George Wallace, Governor of Alabama. The highway bond program is a matter of degree, not any great principle involved in whether you have a certain type bond issue. But I might say that the group that are filibustering the bond issue are the ones that recommended it. The ones who are filibustering and trying to kill it are the ones who had an interim committee for 30 days at $30 a day and $300 a month expenses that now come along and filibuster their own recommendation. And in view of the fact that President Nixon is against busing, I'm taking this action in order to help the President in this matter of busing. So I'm ordering the school board and the superintendent of education to admit this student to Minor High instead of the school that she was assigned to by the assignment officer that's about 22 miles away from her home. There will be other orders forthcoming, and I think we're going to set the precedent in this state of carrying out the wishes of President Nixon. President Nixon now says that do not bus more than you have to. Well, every instant that I will become involved in is a situation where you have non-discrimination, but they have busing. And I'm going to only help President Nixon carry out his desire. In fact, you might say that Governor Wallace is working very closely with President Nixon in order to help him be able to carry out his objective of no massive busing in Alabama. And I would hope that the governors of the other states would oblige and help the President as much as I desire to help him carry out his desire not to have massive busing. I'm not familiar about what the court has approved. It's approved so many things. It approved one thing today and disapproves it tomorrow. The entire situation like he would like to see it handled in the little time that we have to handle it. Then we're getting to a point in this school matter that it seems the whole attempt is to destroy. Well, it might be presumptuous for me to suggest what the President did as far as machinery and mechanism was concerned and mechanics, but yes, I suggest that the President issue an executive order to halt busing, and don't put any if, ands, and buts about it, except that provided by so-and-so. Just issue an executive order to stop it, and let his Justice Department go back into court and ask that every order that requires mass busing be rescinded and be modified and be changed. That's within the law, and that's what the people of this country want, and it could be done, and we could still have non-discrimination in the public schools, which we do have, we should have.
Governor, won't it be a chaotic situation if every governor does what you've done?
Well, we're doing what the President asked. You saying the President wants a chaotic condition to exist. Chaos exists in this country in the public school system because of busing. Everybody knows that, so I'm not bringing on any chaos. Busing's bringing on chaos, and I'm trying to stop some of the chaos in Alabama. The chaos of these little black children being bused 23 miles away from their home. Unless the Justice Department and HEW allow Hobson City School and All Black City to remain open. They've closed their school. They asked them not to close it. They took 3 grades of the Oxford School, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and transferred it to Hobson City. They took the 4th through the 12th grades of Hobson City School and transferred it to Oxford. And yet the Oxford School Board and the people in Hobson City, including the mayor and the attorney for the mayor and the black citizens, asked the federal court not to destroy our school in Hobson City, of which we are so proud. And they went ahead anyway under this senseless sociological experimentation and told this black community that has a black mayor, we're going to destroy your school. And unless the Justice Department and HEW relents and they get a new order and reopen that school by, say, Monday, I'm going to issue an order to the Oxford City Board of Education and the Calhoun County Board of Education, ordering Oxford to remain as it is, ordering Hobson City School to remain as it is, the Calhoun County Training School, with the understanding that if there is anyone in the Calhoun County Training School that wants to go to Oxford or vice versa, they may do so. They have a perfect right to go wherever they'd like to, but they will not be forced to go against their will under this decree rendered recently. I do like to quote Disraeli, the great English Prime Minister, who many years ago, when he was a young man in the English Parliament, he made a profound statement in which he said, "The youth of today are the trustees of posterity." Of course, Disraeli did not know about 18-year-old voting in those days, so instead of saying the youth of today are the trustees of the future, you're already the trustees of the present. Because all of you are now participants, whether you're under 21 years of age or not, in government, the national level, the state level, and the local level. And I think we're going to be better off for it. And I congratulate you and extend to you a warm welcome to participate in the activities that affect each and every one of you and will in the future. Was the first one to award the governor a doctor's degree. We contend, and I think the truth of the matter is that we are the first. Today, the degree is merely being presented. The degree was actually awarded by the Board of Trustees back in June. So at this time, we're happy to present the degree, and Dr. Wills at this time. I'd like to read this certificate. It says, "With admiration for her graciousness as First Lady of Alabama, with respect for her steadfast interest in the advancement of the fine arts, and in recognition of her contribution to the mental health programs of this state, Mrs. George C. Wallace is hereby named Honorary President of Troy State University with all the responsibilities, rights, and privileges appertaining thereto, conferred this 13th day of August, 1971. Signed by the President of our Board of Trustees, who is the Governor."
Thank you very much.
Right after the House resolution was passed, the Senate then passed a restricting resolution which sets out exactly what items of expense ought to be covered and sets out the manner in which any expenses of the Lieutenant Governor himself would be paid. And this information was equally available to the people in the newspaper business.
Was this second resolution the one they called the repealer?
No, sir. No, sir. The second resolution was a Senate resolution which was introduced by Senator Joe Fine, which was to clarify the House resolution, and which was to set out exactly what items of expense ought to be included, such as office equipment, postage, things that most businesses take as routine office expenses, such as secretaries and stationery and things of this nature.
About the repealer resolution, will you call it up in the Senate as a message from the House?
Any House message that comes over will be received by the presiding officer when it comes to my attention. It did not come to my attention on the last legislative day. I'm not sure what the House is doing. I'd hate to know that I had voted on anything, either in the House or the Senate, and didn't know that I voted on it. I'm sure that most people in the House had some idea that they were voting on something of substance, because when it came to the Senate, one of the senators, Senator Lybrand, automatically and without hesitation brought it to the attention of the chair, and at that time I sent it to the Rules Committee. So obviously it was not something that was done while people were gone. The entire Senate was there. The entire Senate voted on it, and to my judgment there was perhaps one or two senators in opposition to what they had heard was an open-ended clause on the resolution, but which actually is restricted very closely by the Senate resolution. I stated many weeks ago that the governor and I would have areas of agreement and areas of disagreement as we came through the session, and I've not seen anything passed that in my judgment was not in the best interest of the people of Alabama. And my role in state government is to operate the Lieutenant Governor's office just as I've done in the past, and there's been no so-called deal between the governor and myself. There's been no bill passed that the governor wanted passed that wouldn't have passed regardless of whether this resolution had gone through the House or not. As a matter of fact, the bills that I assume the governor's interested in are still on the Senate calendar, and these are the ones dealing with the presidential race. And there's been no sort of understanding at all on these bills.
We've had difficult times, and I sat up there in that window and I looked out at 25,000 people going up Dexter Avenue at one time when they walked over here from Selma, and I felt like my city had fallen apart. But it made a greater city. It made us stronger. It opened up lines of communication between our races. And this has got to be. It's got to be. It can't be any other way. 40% of your people in this community are black. And you've got to have your lines of communication opened if you're going to make progress. And I think one of the greatest things that we've done, we've opened up this line of communication. There's still other improvements that can be made. I'm not saying it's perfect yet by any manner of means. But when I think of all the difficulties and so forth and the demonstrations that we had, and we came out strong, and we held together, and we set an example to the rest of the nation, if you want to know the truth about it, of how to go about handling this situation. We got a lot of them all over the United States in regards to it. But I was with the police on those particular occasions, at night time and other times. And I'll say one thing, I've got all the respect in the world in the way they handled it. It just couldn't have been better. And we came out a strong city. We profited by these things. And this city, the potential is just out of this world. I want to stay around and see it. It's like I told someone the other day, I've got in such a mess, I want to see it straightened up. What I would like to say in my final, last official meeting, what a pleasure it's been. No one can have any idea of the personal feeling that I've had in regards to the city of Montgomery, to have served the finest people that has ever lived. And it's just been a real pleasure, and it's been one that's been most gratifying. I try not to get emotionally upset when I'm talking to you pertaining to these things, but the future of our city is just tremendous. And I think the pattern has been cut. I think plans have been laid, not because of the city commission or Earl James or Cliff Evans or Jack Rucker or L.B. Sullivan or Frank Parks or anyone else that ever has sat on this commission. But the pattern's been set because of the people of Montgomery. And to me, this has been the most gratifying thing on earth.
Mr. Trammell, what was your reaction to this indictment this morning?
I have the utmost confidence in the judicial system of the United States of America.
Did this come as a surprise to you today? There's been a good deal of talk about it.
suppose Governor Wallace would not meet with you this morning?
Well, I think there were political motivations. You know, of course, that Governor Wallace got his start in Alabama politics with the help of the black bloc vote. And it looks like he's gone back to soliciting that same black bloc vote.
And that's why he wouldn't meet with you?
That is, those are the only deductions that I can make from the governor's actions this morning.
Your opposition to busing, that's based strictly on race, isn't it?
Definitely, right. We recognize the busing issue as part and parcel of this whole integration business. You can't separate the two. And we regard integration as an assault on the white race. Integration means slow death for the white race. It means genocide for the white race.
Is there much popular support for this position?
Definitely. I think the average white person feels very strongly in this matter. I've just been touring throughout several southern states, and the feelings that I've encountered at the grassroots level completely support our position.
I would say the turnout here today wouldn't support that position.
Well, of course, we have a little rain from up above. I think George must have done a rain dance or something there.
What is your solution to the problem?
The race problem, I would say, can only be solved through a program not of busing, but of voting. In other words, taking the blacks who are in our midst and sending them back to Africa, getting them on boats and sending them on back to Africa.
Oh.